Hey, coming to you from the big show. It's the after party at Joe Stebrick's house, and I've got my friend Marcy from Tremco.
Hi, Matt. Hi, everybody.
Thank you for joining me, Marcy. So on today's building science seminar today, we talked a lot about water and mold.
Yes, we did.
And as you know, I'm a big fan of Tremco Exo Air products, and you guys did incredibly well on the University of Texas Austin testing with your Exo Air 220 and 230 products. What do you think the future is, just generally speaking, when it comes to wraps, peel and sticks, and fluid applieds?
I think everyone's really starting to focus on durability of the assembly, and that's where we're at right now as a whole industry, and that's why when we come together like this, it's great. The minds all come together and we talk about deficiencies and issues so that we can best figure out how to, tweak our formulas or else tweak our systems, and I think that's where we really hit it home with 230 and 220. Those Exo products, we have that system, right? And we constantly look at how we can make the best connections to suit each project.
All right, Marcy, let me ask you a tough building science question.
Okay,
I can put you on the spot. You're a smart engineer.
Okay.
You've been around the block before. So talk to me about nail sealability and gasketing. What's the difference? What do contractors need to know about that when they're thinking about what weather barrier they're going to put on a house?
Oh, great question. I think with that test itself, I think there's a lot of things that people don't understand. The test itself is tested with a smooth roofing nail, and we are not penetrating our walls with smooth roofing nails.
Yep.
So you really need to evaluate the actual screw unfastening mechanism that you're using on your project to really understand it. People think self-healing. Absolutely not. No matter what product it is. Peel and sticks might have a little more chance because they're a little more gummy or sticky when you pull that screw out. But if it's my house, my building, I'm still going to put a little bit of sealant there to seal it up because it is not self-sealing. It does gasket, right? So that's what's great about a thicker filmed product, like our traditional peel and sticks at 40 mils or our fluids that are 25, 30, 35 mils. You get a gasketing effect around whatever that penetrating mechanism is so that you're not going to have a water leak.
All right, so let's say assembly that we do a lot in Texas is stucco facades. We're stapling the heck out of that house with stucco with staples, stucco, and are putting on the. Gosh, I've had like 1/4 of a beer and I can't even talk correctly.
You need a full beer.
Let me back up a sec. We're gonna edit that out, Derek. So, Marcy, as you know, in Texas, we do a lot of stucco facades, and, we're stapling on that lath with a million staples. And in my case, I'm always trying to put an air gap back there. What do I need to know about the different products, and what would you do if it was your build in terms of products that either you make or that other people make, kind of generally speaking? What would you do to make sure that those staples that are not going to have a gasket effect are not going to cause a problem in 20 or 30 years?
Well, I think that's where you look at the right product for the right application. So for stucco, I would really want to count on the fact that I want something more robust because you are going to be stapling it and you're not going to be able to put something there to protect each and every one of those staples. So something that is more robust, something that's thicker is going to be able to do that. And then what you can do is, I always say partner with your manufacturer and let them know, I have this application. What do you recommend? Right. We have a lot of experience as manufacturers of what we would like to see you do and what we'd like to see you not do because we learn a lot from issues in the field that we see. So with that alone, you can do some testing, and we've done some testing to understand what happens when you staple it and what is the performance you're going to get out of it.
So with that same thought in mind, do you have any, I know this isn't your bailiwick, but I know you've done a lot of testing, OSB versus plywood versus other sheathings on the outside? Are there some that are better or that hold up over the decades better, knowing that there might be a minute amount of water that's coming around in those staples?
I think, each of them have a natural tendency to hold some amount of moisture, so some hold more than others. And that's where I would then partner with each of those manufacturers too. The best resource is to talk to the OSB, the exterior sheathing people. We worked with a lot of different manufacturers and they were really the experts in that. But once again, I think if you've got the right system protecting that wall, a colleague of mine always says, these products can work, give them a chance. So we always have to focus back on that, making sure we're installing them right so that products have a chance.
So I got another question, sort of related. I've got a contractor buddy who feels like if one layer is good, 2 layers is better. So when we think about fluid applieds, the Tremco Exo 230 goes on like 30 mils, is that right?
Yeah, depending on the substrate, we actually have 2 different recommendations, but we do see where people like to do 2 layers, so 2 lifts of the application. It's kind of like if you're painting a wall. you go through paint it the first time, and you don't usually ever paint just one coat.
Right.
So that second coat is going to fill it in and make sure if you miss something. So I think that's where we see a lot of applications where they like to do it in 2 lifts.
And could you do, let's say, a 50 or 60 mil install on a EXO Air 230, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can change the mill thickness. Just give us a call if you're going to do that, because like for something like EXO Air 230, you're going to change its permeability. So that is a factor, depending on how permeable your application is. As soon as you go thicker, you could have, not an issue, but your vapor transfer is going to change depending on that thickness. So that's the only thing we would caution.
Yeah.
Like currently right now we have an impermeable membrane, and somebody said, hey, I want it to be thicker, and we're like, absolutely, we've tested it. And that's what manufacturers do. We don't test at one thickness because we know that's not what's going to happen in the field. There's going to be a variety of thicknesses out there. So yeah, so that's what we would do there too.
Hey, tell me one other thing. I heard that you guys were coming out, and we'll edit this out, by the way, if this doesn't work, because I'm throwing this question out for you. Hey, Marcy, I talked to my local Tremco guy, and he mentioned that you guys had a new product coming out that I think's maybe already in the market. That's a peel and stick with an aluminum facer that has a very long UV life. Do you know anything about that product?
Actually, I do. We just launched it actually Friday.
Nice. How about that timing?
Yeah. Actually, we launched the one that has the aluminized coating about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And what we found with that one is it was almost over-engineered for some of the applications. So what we did was we took the same product and we removed the aluminized coating, and now it is just the HDPP, high-density polypropylene with a high temperature-resistant butyl. So that's what it is right now. So we have an EXO Air 111, which was the one you mentioned, and we launched on Friday EXO Air 110 AT. AT stands for all temperature. So it's one of those extreme self-adhered membranes. And really, I can thank being at summer camp for coming out with that product, because conversations like this is what helped me make sure that I got the right product.
There's a lot of geeks here at summer camp like us.
Yes, there is.
And we love talking about the envelope.
And we love talking about the envelope. So,
hey, anything new that you can tell us about that we don't have to sign a non-disclosure about from the Tremco world?
well, we're working on our own permeable sheet right now that we're pretty excited about. If I tell you any more, you'd have to sign an NDA.
All
But
right, sounds good.
Yeah, so
Don't worry, you just told all of YouTube. No one's listening.
oh, good. Okay.
Only 30,000 people.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. But we're also our test wall. We're really excited about that. We just built our 2-story test wall now.
Oh, nice.
So we worked with a lot of people here. They come in and they tell us the problems that they had. That job you mentioned, University of Texas, that was a specific job where they wanted to make sure that they were detailing correctly. And they came in, they built their walls, and they tested it. And that was what's pretty exciting for us. It gives us the ability to have fun with it. You know, what is the right way to detail, and we get to do it first and hands-on right there.
That's awesome. Hey, last question for you. Talking about that study at UT, by the way, Tremco did really well. Tell me about UV resistance. You know, contractors like me that do sometimes bigger jobs that take 18 months, 24 months plus. Tell me about UV resistance and what I need to know. If you as a manufacturer say this is a 6 or a 12-month rating, what happens if I leave it on for another 6 months?
Well, first of all, I think I don't want to speak for all manufacturers, but everything we tell you, there's a safety factor. So, you know, if I say 6 months, there's probably going to be some wiggle room there because we know you can't control things like that. Yeah. The other thing is when you say 6 months, you know, a Texas 6 month compared to a Canadian, you know, different. Pick any city, it could be different. And then your elevation, your type of substrate, your application, all those things factor in. So it's hard as a manufacturer to be able to come up with that. And that's why we have to do a variety of tests. So there's exposure tests that are in a lab. There's outside exposure tests. Something we're working on right now where we actually have 6 exposure farms across North America. Wow. And we bring that data back and we look at it. And you can't just look at one thing. It's a combination of things, right? So you look at surface, you look at performance, you look at adhesion, you look at all the different things so you know not only can it be left exposed, it's still going to perform, right? So.
And I know you've got a super technical background. Are you a PE?
I am not.
Okay, you're an engineer of some variety.
Yeah.
So tell me what gets thrown into those fluid applieds that resist those UVs for that period of time? Is it titanium dioxide? Is it is it similar to the sunscreen that you and I use at the beach?
Yeah, there's I'm an engineer, but I hate the R&D chemists are really the experts when it comes to that kind of thing. But I know that the polymers that we're usually using are actually, you know, you look at your typical house paint and acrylics in general have have really good weatherability, and the polymers that we're using have excellent weatherability in themselves. And then you can add in other things to kind of up that exposure rate so that you can have long-term performance. The biggest thing is when you're looking at something, once again, it's always like pick that right product and give it a chance to perform. So if it has limited UV, listen to your manufacturer or get some advice on how you can, lengthen the time, cover it up or whatever. So.
Marcy, thank you so much for being with me.
Absolutely.
An amazing camp again this year. So great to connect with you and all of our colleagues from manufacturers and builders and education, hear about some amazing presentations. But thank you for joining me today as we talked about weather barriers. How can people find out more about some of the Tremco stuff that we talked about today?
On our website, so it's www.tremcosealants.com. All of our contact information is there. And we're also on LinkedIn, so if you want to look us up that way, we try to post things throughout LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. And if you're a builder, remodeler out there watching this, link up with these manufacturers. When you find a product you like, these manufacturers like Marcy, I've gotten to know her over the years, they want to talk to you, they want to do it right, and they want to make sure, frankly, their products that they spend a ton of R&D get applied correctly. So they want you to get out there and reach out and make sure that you know how to do it right. Marcy, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next year at the 21st Building Science Symposium.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thanks.